of, and it's to bring to the attention of the Irish massive, the Irish woman in particular, because I want to read a verse from the scriptures, the Holy Bible, the Word of God, the book of Proverbs, which is where wisdom is embedded in the Word of God. The first verse of chapter 14, addressing the woman and her household. Listen carefully. Every wise woman buildeth her house, but the foolish plucketh it down with her hands. Again, every wise woman buildeth her house, but the foolish plucketh it down with her hands. So if you were to look at Ireland as she or her, she must build her house. She must. And if you look at the nation in its smallest unit, the household, the family unit, then that unit requires the building of a house. So you can look at the word house metaphorically, but also very practically. In Ireland, they claim that there is a housing crisis, and I call nonsense. Why? What kind of crisis can a house have? A house can't have a crisis if it doesn't exist. Somebody might say, you're being silly now. We're talking about there's a lack of houses. No. Think of things logically. There's no such thing as a housing crisis. That's folly. You either build it or you don't. So the crisis is elsewhere. The crisis is with the one whose responsibility it is to build the house, not building the house. And something interesting has happened. Recently, the referendum in Ireland was brought by its own government to remove the woman from the Constitution. Why would it enter anybody's head to remove the woman from the Constitution? You're removing a member of the family. The Constitution of Ireland is the family. What else is there? The only social structure within any nation is the family. It is the fundamental unit of society, the family. So they want to remove some of the family from the family. This is mindless. It's absolute madness. It's no surprise that Leo Varadkar ran in resignation from government after the Irish people said, no, you can't remove Mammy from the Constitution. So I believe as a nation, we need to be an example to others. As it says here, every wise woman buildeth her house, but the foolish plucketh it down with her hands. Now, is this talking about a woman physically block by block building a house? Not necessarily. To build your house is to facilitate the growth of your family members. Now, of course, this has to start with a physical house, physical building. So Satan knows it's very difficult for Mammy to spiritually and morally build her house if she doesn't have a physical building to start with. So it makes sense that the devil would first prevent the building of physical houses, then try to remove Mammy from the conversation. If he's trying to destroy the house, listen again. Every wise woman buildeth her house, but the foolish plucketh it down with her hands. So my question to you is, if girls run the world, why then is the woman neglecting to hold the government accountable to her rights, which they are duty bound to facilitate by way of her inclusion in the Constitution under the family unit? The government must endeavour to ensure that it never be as a result of economic necessity that the woman leaves the house and goes to work. Never, never. The government must endeavour to ensure that it never be as a result of a lack of money. So how can you bring a never for a referendum? That's an inalienable antecedent right. It means one that cannot be removed and one that pre-existed even the formation of the nation of Ireland. The right is to be taken care of economically, financially by the man. We enshrine that right for the woman in Ireland. And that's what Leo Varadkar was trying to remove. That protection of the mother, that economic provision for her. So my question again to the women is, if you rejected the referendum, why did you merely reject it and then not hold the government accountable to it? There's no point to reject its removal if you're not actually going to act upon its presence. So I call on you, women of Ireland. Every wise woman buildeth her house, but the foolish plucketh it down with her hands. Imagine you told your child, mammies, go tidy your room, and they said, I'm unemployed. You'd say, excuse me, you're unemployed? You have chores to do. You've got to keep your room tidy. What do you mean you've no job? That's your job. Go tidy your room. So how can the young child say to the mother, I have no job, so I'm not tidying my room? The fact that the room is untidy says you have work. Like the fact that there's not enough houses says that the Irish man has work to do. And it is with the Irish woman to bring that about. Isn't that very intelligent of the ancestry? They knew that there was a stronger inclination for a woman to take care of her child than a man. So they left the right with the woman. And the right is implied for the man by the woman's right. So if the woman has a right to never have to go to work as a matter of economic necessity, the implied right of the man is that he'll have enough money to take care of her. That's the implication. So there are written rights and implied rights. The implied right of the man in Ireland is gainful employment. It's no less of a right because it's not written. It's implied. So the implication is that either the man is in a position to take care of the woman or the government is. But somebody has to give her a house, bed and board, by way of the laws. And if they don't do that, they commit treason. So however it happens, the mammy and the baby have to be taken care of. It should never be a case where mammy has to go to work. So it's obviously in the government's interest that the money's coming from daddy and not them. So how do you do that? How does the woman go about building the house then? practically? How does she economically? How does she